Hong Kong, of course, and even Taiwan. People think, why are you saying this? Why are you so angry? Of course I'm angry. I'm angry at such injustice. It's not answerable. It's not even covered by the mainstream media anymore. And the massacres keep happening in China and in Chinese occupied countries such as Tibet, East Turkestan, Southern Mongolia, and regions like Hong Kong. And here in America, supposedly the beacon of democracy and the land of the free, unfortunately our President Obama, is not doing much for such justice. I'm not asking him to do any justice for people in China, but I'm just asking him. Actually, I don't want to ask him anymore. I just wonder why he would not mention much about he won't mention much the political prisoners in China. He won't mention much on Tibet, instead of saying Tibet is part of China. Why does he have to lie like this? Because he wants China's business and trade or something? And why does the EU countries behaving like this? Because they allow this mafia gang, terrorist organization to hold them at hostage. They allow them to be overcome by fear. And many of us, even survivors of Tiananmen massacre, I'm one of the few, unlike my fellow survivors, Fang Zheng and Mr. Zhou, and why there are so few of us are speaking up, because many of them have been overcome by fear. And even when I talk to the Chinese inside China, they think the mentioning of June 4th, the mentioning of Tiananmen massacre is causing them trouble. I'm the troublemaker just merely by mentioning them. And one of my high school friends who traveled all the way from southern China to Beijing to join the movement just days before the massacre began. She participated in Tiananmen massacre. Last year when I spoke to her on WeChat, we were in this WeChat group talking about this and that, and casually I mentioned the massacre. She was accusing me of causing trouble, and she, as a former participant of the movement, said something which shocked me. She said, the government made the right decision. Therefore, China now is stable and rich. And I said to her, I'm your friend, I'm your classmate. Did I deserve to be killed in exchange for prosperity and stability? Is China really that stable, and is China really that rich? This is all a lie, but people believe in lies. They allow themselves to believe in big lies like this. But luckily, over the last few years, I started to see more and more young people coming out of the closet, just like me, overcoming fear and pursuing justice, following their curiosity. Most of them were born in the 90s, or even long after the 90s. Most of them were born long after the Tiananmen massacre. But they are curious, and they want to know what's happening. They want to know this part of history. And recently, I gave a talk about Tiananmen massacre in Rochester University in upstate New York. And I did not expect any Chinese students in the audience, because it happened before. In such occasions, Chinese students were not present because they were afraid the Chinese spies sent by the Chinese consulate. punish them or punish their families. But to my surprise, in the talk, there were like at least 20 Chinese students in the audience, and most of them asked me questions, very thoughtful questions about the massacre. And some of them were even asking me to offer them advice because they said they're going back to China. And one boy, a 19-year-old boy, asked me, and he said, please, tell me what to do. I'm going back to China to bring change. Tell us what to do. So these young people are our hopes. And I hope more and more such young people will come out again. And this year, surprisingly, a couple of weeks ago, a dozen Chinese students in the United States signed an open letter. They penned and signed an open letter to the students inside China, asking them to learn this part of history. And this is very encouraging because they have to overcome not just fear and also family pressure and pressure from the government and the threats from the government. There are 268,000 Chinese students in America. It's has the biggest number of international students, about 31% of the international students. And I think this is where we can start. This is what we call it anti-brainwashing campaign. They've been brainwashed since birth. We were brainwashed since birth. But we learned the truth the hard way. And they're here studying in America. And some of you may know some of them. And please tell them the truth and tell them do not worry about the consequences of knowing the truth. It's very important to know the truth. If more and more people come out, overcoming the fear, coming out of the closet and telling the world this is not on, we have to have justice. If the Holocaust is still remembered today and people are not punished for remembering the Holocaust, why should people be punished and ostracized for remembering Tiananmen? And thank you very much for coming here.